TikTok is getting banned, or at least it might. We really don't know what's about to happen, but we do know that it's going to have quite a lot of implications for a lot of communities, including the book talk community. And so we really need to discuss this. Let's get into it. Hi everyone, my name is Shelly, and if you are new here, I am just a lover of books, but I'm also a lover of discourse around books, around anything to do with books. So that's the book community, the publishing world, just really anything that revolves around books. And this definitely involves books in a very, very huge capacity. And this TikTok ban, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but let's discuss like the implications for book talkers, because book talk is a huge thriving community on TikTok, and if TikTok is banned in the US, then that's definitely going to have an impact, especially because book talk, the community of book talk, has so many American contributors. It has so many American engagement, and so if it gets if it gets banned in the US, how many people are we losing on the book talk community? With so many book talkers being based in the US, it now means that people will lose the place where they get their reviews, the place where they get their recommendations. It means that people will lose maybe even the community that they formed. A lot of book clubs have been formed on book talk, and a lot of people, have made friends and like lasting relationships on book talk. There are book events, that primarily go on book talk to advertise and to actually engage with that community. And so there's going to be a huge impact on book talk. Yes, it's not just Americans who make a book talk, but they make a large part of it. And we cannot deny that the American presence is felt. And so the American absence will be felt as well. And so who knows if book talk truly can survive a shift such as the TikTok ban in America. Now, before I even go more into the impact and, the implications of a possible TikTok ban in America, let me actually give some background on what I know so far. I am not based in America, and so I don't know how the American legislative and judicial system works. And so I really do not know the ins and outs and, the nooks and crannies of this law and this bill that might pass. But just from the itty bitty that I've seen discussed online, essentially, the lawmakers in the US, just like before when they threatened to ban TikTok before, have raised an issue on privacy and security. And so they are now threatening to ban book talk. Essentially, not book talk, TikTok. Essentially, TikTok, the company, is based, I believe, in Singapore, but the company that owns TikTok is a Chinese company. And so the American, lawmakers are expressing their concerns for, the privacy and the security of Americans. Now, there's so much speculation going around about what the real reason is, because let's be honest, that's not the real reason, is it? I mean, quite a lot of speculation is going around about really what the real reason for this TikTok ban might be. That being, the fact that TikTok is really putting a downer on capitalism, or the fact that TikTok is allowing real news to spread where the media blocks it. So much speculation going on, but really, we can't say for sure. But with them raising their concerns on TikTok, for the American public, they basically issued an ultimatum to TikTok. They said, if the company which owns you, I forgot what it's called, they can sell you to anybody else who is not in China. But if that company does not sell, then TikTok will be banned. That's what the bill has said. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know specifically how the US system works, but I understand that they have a House and a Senate and all of that. I can't remember which comes first. But one has actually allowed the bill to go through. So the first stage has, been successful for the bill passing. Now they're at the second stage. And if it passes, all that needs to happen after that is the president needs to sign and then it will now go through the process of actually being put into law. And President Biden has actually said that if it goes into, if it makes it through both stages, that he will sign it. And so it's currently past the first stage and it's now at the second stage. So if it passes that, then TikTok is essentially banned because President Biden has given his word that he will sign the bill if it gets through that second stage. And I simply can't believe we've made it this far. Because if you are online, you don't even have to be chronically online, but if you are just online, you have seen the hearings of when they have been, questioning the CEO of TikTok. Guys, how ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous. And I'm going to, not say so much because, I'm not a citizen and I don't live here. But as someone who has a brain and has eyes and, has even the smallest level of critical thinking skills, I saw their questioning and I just couldn't believe that this is who is in charge of creating laws in the US. We really have to pray for them, but that's as much as I'm going to say on that. So let me just stay away from those politics. But now that, we have a basic idea of what's going on and, what, with the potential banning of TikTok, let's go back to the topic at hand, which is what are the implications with booktok and just the book world and the publishing world. And of course, I already mentioned first and foremost, it's really going to have an impact on the booktok community and how it thrives because so many booktalkers are on there. And so reviews, recommendations, it's really just going to kind of, go down and the community might just die. But it's not just the people who are looking for reviews and recommendations who are going to now suffer because so many of their creators will no longer be on the platform. But it's also the creators themselves, because for those of us who are not in the US, a lot of the people we engage with are in the US, okay? And so our engagement will now go down. Like the engagement on these channels will now go down. And so there is really going to be like this need to consider a pivot to other platforms. And I really even considered making a whole separate video on this because we really, as creators, you have to figure out which platform works best for you. And most creators are on several platforms. I mean, I'm on TikTok and I'm on BookTube. I technically am on Bookstagram, but I stopped using it. I haven't used it for months, but I am on it. And we now will have to pivot, our usage because most creators have multiple platforms that they engage with, but there's a focus on one main platform. Some people mainly do long form content, and so YouTube is their space, BookTube is their space, but some people mainly do short form content, and so a lot of them are on TikTok because Instagram, as we've seen recently, is just not the best because yes, you have reels, but it's really just not hitting, especially when it comes to growing. The algorithm on Instagram sucks. So a lot of people migrated from Instagram around COVID days or right after COVID and went to TikTok because the algorithm is better there, especially for growth as a creator. But now, if TikTok gets banned, we now have to consider a pivot. And do we go back to Instagram and try to win over the algorithm and fight for our lives? Or, do we consider YouTube as being our main place, where we use shorts if we were short form creators mainly? And obviously, if you're already on there, it doesn't really affect you that much if you're already on YouTube. But even that, it's going to be different. TikTok blew because the nature of TikTok just allowed it to be this free space where people could be real. Because Instagram started off as this kind of photo app where people kind of put their best faces forward. Even when they introduced reels and people were trying to kind of be real and honest like TikTok was, we couldn't stop ourselves from kind of presenting our best selves. And yes, on TikTok, a lot of people still present their best selves, but on TikTok, people are unhinged. And yeah, that can be chaotic at times, but it can also be so fun and so freeing because you can just pull up however you want. and just tell the truth and just be honest and just express yourself. Be that silly person that you are. TikTok allowed a lot of people to really be free in that sense. And that's how TikTok blew. It allowed people to stop hiding behind a facade, which was what Instagram encouraged, a facade. And it allowed you to do it, and you did it. And it allowed you to make friends and just be a part of a community, even if you didn't make friends. And so TikTok going away is really just going to change the dynamic. And yes, creators might have to pivot because they're going to need engagement. But when they pivot, will they find that engagement on the other apps that we have? You know, obviously there's Book Twitter and there's even Book Pinterest, but there's something about TikTok, guys, which has made TikTok popular. Even the user interface, let's be real, the user interface on TikTok is better, and it's addictive. Just the ability to just scroll and scroll and scroll and possibly come across your favorite creator or a new creator that you will end up making your favorite. Just the algorithm, everything on TikTok has made it what it is, because it's made a space where people can be found. It's made a space where strangers can be found. It's made a space where you can find strangers but also still find your friends. And it really has been great. And so now with creators going to possibly lose, you know, maybe all of their engagement, half their engagement, 70% of their engagement, they will have to consider pivoting. And we don't know the effect that that's going to have on them. I know a lot of people who recently, or in the last few years, have become full-time creators, and they're full-time creators on TikTok. And so many of them are based in America. And so it's so scary to think what's now going to happen to those creators, because they have now made a career with like the partnerships and the collaborations that they get on TikTok, with the products that they're selling on TikTok. And now you're basically going to be scrapping the livelihoods of so many, which is why I say this is definitely, like, let's be real, one of the reasons for them introducing this possibility of a TikTok ban is because capitalism can't run as much. Because let's be real, the country runs on capitalism, and TikTok has made it so that someone can be completely broke one day and a millionaire the next. And it's created this amazing opportunity for people, and it seems like they're really just trying to take that away. And so it's definitely worrisome. It's like this implication of people losing their livelihoods and people losing that engagement is really, really worrisome. For example, I have 27K on TikTok on my booktok, my booktok page. And I moved from Instagram to TikTok because, like I said, it was easier to thrive on TikTok. The engagement was better, and it was just easier to find my space and actually share my content and also be real. My Instagram is on 3K, and it stayed on 3K for a minute. And this is why I gave up on it. I'm just like, you're not growing. And then I came to TikTok, and it blew and it grew. Even YouTube, like, I come to YouTube, and anyone who has a YouTube channel knows that YouTube is not for the weak. Like, no social media platform is for the weak. Like, consistency is important and it's hard, but then you see your hard work paying off. Whereas Instagram, you don't really see your hard work paying off. You really just there and you kind of struggle, and a lucky few get to actually see their hard work pay off, and a lucky few have no hard work and it still pays off. So there's Instagram is one of those places that really, really emphasizes that, like, yeah, life is not a meritocracy a lot of the time, but a lot of other places you can actually have hope for growth. And so yes, we're like, creators are going to have to consider pivoting to other platforms, but that's going to affect them. There are creators who will have 100K, 300K on TikTok and have like, what, 10K on Instagram or even less. And so if that is how you now make your money because you went full time, you're in danger. TikTok is, like YouTube, one of the few platforms to pay creators. Instagram is selfish. They refuse to share the wealth. If anything, they just share the wealth with celebrities and that's it. But TikTok, like YouTube, pays. And so there's a huge possibility that a lot of people will be in trouble, and that's very scary to me. I definitely think that's terrifying, and I know it's not just scary to me. I am not like a full-time creator. I do have a 9 to 5. I love content creating, but I also really, really enjoy my 9 to 5, so I stuck with that. But I am very concerned for friends and other people that I know who are full-time, and TikTok is where they get their money. It's really, really scary. But beyond it being scary for content creators, and beyond it being like, a terrible change in livelihoods for even just people who just engage with the book talk community, It's also very scary for publishing, I think, because, and I spoke about how, you know, publishing has now become a bit reliant on booktok, especially when it comes to their marketing strategies. Like every publisher now has, social media content creation and social media influencers as part of their marketing strategy. Even if it's like a small team, even if it's just like you work with a few influencers every so often, there is a strategy that revolves around social media and the influencers on social media. We've spoken about it on this channel, how TikTok was partially responsible for the resurgence of like books, or the love of books. How so many news articles came out about how TikTok saved the publishing world, and it definitely did. Like, obviously people were finding hobbies in the pandemic, and one of the hobbies that so many people found or refound an interest for was reading, and booktok had a huge part to play in that. And so that's why they have come to a point where they depend on influencers, and I love that. That's absolutely amazing. But now a lot of publishers might have to rejig their marketing strategies. So many ads are on TikTok. Yes, publishers are also still working with, Instagram influencers as well, and YouTube influencers, but when it comes to actual like influencing, a lot of the influencer programs, like, they're just like, what's your TikTok, how many followers do you have on TikTok? Yeah, we have the Instagram and we can work with you with that, but what's your TikTok? I found you on TikTok, I want you to post a video on TikTok. What's the strategy going to be? There's going to be such a disruption in the marketing strategies of publishers. And with that, how is it actually going to affect book sales, I wonder? Because let's be real, how many of you, like just like me, have discovered so many books from TikTok? Because, like we said, recommendations and reviews, we get them from our favorite book talkers, and even if it's not our favorite book talkers, from book talkers that we see randomly, from ads that we see on, TikTok from a publisher. What will happen to their sales? Their marketing strategy will suffer, and marketing obviously is how a lot of publishers, secure their sales. Like, yes, people go in bookstores, but people are chronically online. Let's be real. Even if you're not chronically online, we live in a technological era. People are online, okay? People are online, and they're on their social media apps, and their ads influence their purchases so much. What will it do to the actual sales of publishing? Will we go back to a time where we see a decrease in publishing numbers in terms of like the sales that they're making? Now, I've spoken on this channel about how, yes, TikTok has become a bit of a danger when it comes to publishing, because publishers are very much concerned with numbers, and this is why they're kind of like focused on things that blow on TikTok and not other things, like quality. But at the same time, I don't want the industry to now just deteriorate, because I still want books to come out, because there are still great books being released. There are still books that we love being released. We just have to weed out the crap ones. But if they're now losing money because they're making no sales, because their marketing has gone down the drain, because they don't have an avenue to do it well, then we all suffer. The publishers suffer, the readers suffer, everyone suffers, okay? And so, goodness, it goes everywhere, and it's affecting everyone. You're affecting the content creators, you're affecting the people who are just here for reviews, you're affecting the publishers, and obviously that in turn is affecting the authors. And I don't just mean the traditionally published authors, I mean the indie authors as well. Do you understand how many authors who are not traditionally published, who do not have the best marketing budget because they're independent or they're from a smaller indie publisher, do you know how many of them have been discovered and have grown because of booktok? And I will always use this example because it's just so amazing to see what booktok has done for Olivia Blake. Guys, to think that the Atlas 6 was out here, for a while, just chilling, and it's such a great book, but with a smaller marketing budget, people didn't know it because it wasn't, the word wasn't out as much. But then we see it blow, and we see her having interviews about how BookTok has changed her life. And beyond Olivia Blake, I saw another author. And this is so funny. When I saw this video, it really kind of touched my heart. And this was even before I found out about the TikTok ban, or before I found out that it passed the first stage and that it actually might go through. This author was talking about her book, and she was saying it was doing good, it was doing good numbers. Not like, bestseller, like huge numbers, but it was doing good numbers for an indie publisher. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is a book that I have on my, in my shopping cart. It's in my wish list. And I was just like, oh, that's super cool. I didn't actually, hear about her on BookTok. I just found her by chance. I guess I'm just lucky like that. And probably because I hunt down like different recommendations and different books. If I'm not hearing about it on BookTok and I see it, I'll put it on my wish list, because I'm just like, yeah, sometimes the obscure ones are great. And she spoke about how one day she just saw that her book was blowing up, and that's because a book talker found it, spoke about it, reviewed it, and now people want it, and now people are buying it. The power of book talk. Book talk, let's be real, book talk can be toxic. I've spoken about this on this page. That's so true, especially when it comes to some reviews that they can give and how that can affect an author and how that can affect an audience. But book talk can also be so, so amazing. That is one author. Like, Olivia Blake is one author, but when you go through it, you see several authors who are being discovered and their lives are changing because of book talk. The discoverability on book talk is insane. There are authors who were found on book talk, and I love it so much. I love to hear authors actually sell their books on BookTok. They tell us about their books on BookTok, and yes, an audience loves it. But it's so amazing when an agent sees it and reaches out and then gets them a traditional published deal. Not everyone wants to be traditionally published, but a lot of authors do. Um, but getting traditionally published can be hard. And so TikTok has even allowed another avenue to kind of bypass like the regular way of getting published. To get published, you need an agent. To get an agent, you need to query, and querying can be so heart wrenching because you get denial after denial after denial, like just rejection, 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 and there's only so much rejection that a person can take before they break. And so before they break, a lot of people just decide to quit or not even go through that process and just indie publish. And some people just rather indie publish because they're just like, I'd rather just do it on my own, keep all the profits. Like, some people just rather. But some people would love to be traditionally published, and it's hard, especially when you're, from a diverse background. And there are authors who have been found just because they advertised their book on BookTok, or they spoke about their book on BookTok, and a publisher reached out or an agent reached out and said, I would love to hear more, or I would love to publish, and then look where they are now. It's absolutely amazing. It's been an amazing thing to see on that app. And to think that we might lose that is, it actually is heart wrenching to me, because we're losing future authors possibly. And that's the thing. We haven't heard these things happen on Instagram, on Bookstagram. Great things have happened on Bookstagram, but these are book talk stories. Like, book talk just has a way of, I don't know, like just creating a story that you wouldn't hear anywhere else. It's kind of like make a wish for opportunities, for authors and writers, and it's really, really great. And we might lose that. It definitely is scary, because of book talk and the different spaces in book talk. You don't just discover new books that you want to read. You discover new people. You discover new areas in book talk, and you become more aware. I think a lot of people weren't even aware of the lack of diversity in the book world, in the publishing world, until Book Talk started speaking up about it. And then you had the communities. You had Asian Book Talk, Black Book Talk, Latinx Book Talk. You had all the communities speaking out and then advertising the different books that you can read from diverse authors everywhere. And it helped marginalized authors, thrive and succeed and get their voices heard. And like I said, you don't see much of that on the other apps. and BookTok allows it space. And part of it is because of, TikTok's algorithm. It makes it easier to kind of find these things. And we really might lose that because of, selfish lawmakers in the US. But all of this depressing, chaotic news, there is one thing I think is kind of like a light in this, dreary tunnel that we might have to walk through, is the opportunities for innovation. Now, I don't know how old a lot of you are who are watching me, but if you are around my age, then you remember Vine. I know most people remember Vine. Come on, let's be real. If you don't, you're really young. It's all right. We can all be here. But for us who remember Vine, like Vine came out of nowhere and it was just this space. And Vine introduced us to so many creators. I think Vine was the thing that really began kind of like content creator culture. Not really began it, but really kind of started us, I kind of think it did. It kind of started this thing where content creators were blowing up, and they were, being invited to talk shows. I don't think they were like properly making money with their content alone on Vine, but it kind of started to open doors. People were being discovered on Vine, and like singers and actors were being discovered on Vine, and like now you see them on stages, you see them perform, you see them in TV shows and movies. Vine kind of like started something, and then TikTok came along. Vine died. And then like TikTok came along and TikTok blew. And then this is where people really, really started to make money off of content, like strictly off of content, not like being invited to do things, but strictly off of the content that you made. Like you were actually like promoting things and having like collaborations with brands. But like all these like new apps were coming, and it just created space. So part of me is wondering, can this be the opportunity for innovation in the book world? Yes, I know that, the whole consideration for the other platforms, that's a conversation that will be had. And for all we know, a new platform might be created. And in this generation, I wouldn't be surprised if a knockoff of TikTok or a new TikTok finds its way into the world. A lot of us will have to start from ground zero, but we'll make our way there. But what if this is kind of like an opportunity for a new app for book lovers, a literal book talk app, like strictly book talk app, or just an app that focuses on the book world where we can actually share our content and enjoy. Yes, I know there's going to have to be, if TikTok gets banned, there's going to have to be another app where, obviously all the creators can, come and celebrate. But what if this loss, this potential loss, what if it becomes an actual loss? What if it opens the door for someone to create an actual app just for book people, just for us? Because sometimes it's kind of hard when your algorithm is showing you every part of every part of the things that you have searched for. So I have interest in a lot of things, so what if my app is now showing me everything? But sometimes I just want to find content about books and scroll and just see content that's surrounded around books. This might be an opportunity for someone who can develop an app to develop. It might be an opportunity for, more community engagement. It might be an opportunity for people in other spheres to grow. It might be an opportunity for like YouTube to make another segment in YouTube for the book lovers. There might be opportunities here, but that aside, opportunities take a while sometimes. But the loss is happening now, or the potential loss is happening now, and we genuinely might lose it. And it's so, so worrying. So one thing I know people are doing currently is with the fear of BookTok disappearing, people are encouraging their followers. If you have people, if you have a content creator that you love seeing their content and you want to continue supporting them, all content creators are not just on TikTok. Even if they don't use the other platforms as much, they are on the other platforms, to go and follow them on those other platforms, so that you won't lose them if TikTok goes away. And so I will say the same for now. For now, with BookTok, if you have BookTok content creators who you love, who you enjoy, go in their profile. Their profile will usually have a link tree or beacons and stuff like that. I have beacons. Um, and usually all of their socials will be on there for you to go and follow. If you have influencers like that, if you have content creators like that that you love and you don't want to see go away, then go and follow them on their other platforms. You know, book Twitter, book interest, book Instagram, book YouTube. Go and follow them on all those platforms because we don't know what's going to happen next, and ensure that you don't lose out. um, i I'm really really happy that I have YouTube. I'm ecstatic. I'm super happy because I, though the community is small, I'm growing this community on this space where I can share these opinions, and I can still share my love for books, and I can still share my opinions on things happening in the book world with you guys. And YouTube isn't going anywhere anytime soon. But genuinely, I know that it can be, yeah, it's definitely a bit scary. So do be sure to follow your creators on those other platforms. I mean, if even me, if you want to give me a follow, go and follow. But yeah, do be sure to, you know, look at where your content creators are at outside of TikTok and follow them there, because you might need to depend on other platforms for a while. But beyond that, let us hope for the best. I would love to say, for those of us in the U.S., to call your congressman. I always hear people say that, call your congressman, but it's becoming very clear that the congressmen do not care what their constituents are saying and what's best for their constituents, because no one wanted TikTok to be banned. No one, no one, and yet it made it through that first stage. So I think, if anything, yeah, we might have to give up on the calling your congressman. If anything, you might have to, yeah, we're going to have to work on the ground and find another app and hope for the absolute best when it comes to this second stage. I think it's the Senate, of voting. Let's hope that that bill gets burned to the ground. And that's all we can do for now. Like I said, it doesn't seem like the congressmen care, but if anything, maybe do try calling them. Maybe that really can make a difference. But for now, let's hope for the best. I'll see you guys next time. And next time I'm speaking about this, hopefully I can say that TikTok was not banned in the US. I really hope that's what I'm saying in a few months. But if it's not what I'm saying, then guys, BookTok will never, yeah, BookTok, it's not just an app. It's a community, and it will never die. We will find each other wherever we go, even if it has to be back to Instagram, that terrible app. We will find each other, and we will continue to support each other, and we will continue to engage with each other and love each other and share book recommendations and reviews with each other. This will not be the thing that breaks a community that has so much love in it. It will not be. It'll it'll take us down for a minute, but please, we're resilient. We'll get right back up. So this might be discouraging for the book talkers, but keep your head up. We will definitely prevail against these wicked, wicked schemes. But that is it for now, guys. I am hoping for the best, and hopefully, like I said, we will get the best. But until next time, I will see you soon. And yeah, Godspeed. Be sure to like, comment, share, of course, because some people might not actually know about the TikTok ban. Yeah, be sure to keep informed. And if you haven't already, subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye.